Hi everyone, it's Erin Scott here. Welcome to your October 2019 Alchemy Scope. Let's take a look at your growth processes, your natural growth processes for this Libra new moon cycle, which is correlating with our month of October, through three different modalities: an art channeling, a divinatory message, and an analysis of your astrological cycle. Hi Virgo. So let's take a look at your October processes. And we're going to start by looking at your art channeling that came through here. This is a speeded up version. You can see that your name got written out and the O in Virgo is now becoming a flower, right? And we have 5 petals on there of this flower. One of the petals has almost like a stem formation kind of coming off of it there. And then these are not leaf buds, these are thorns. There was clarity that these are thorns. So you can see there's these 4 kind of thorn formations on this seeming kind of a stem from this flower. And now we have this other formation developing underneath. By the way, all of this is starting on the left side of the page, right? So the analysis is coming now as I'm doing this audio for you. When the channeling comes through, we just let it come through. So we're going to analyze this now. You can see that there's kind of this island formation that's forming here with like green, like trees at the base, and then the kind of the yellow of sand or earth at the base there. And this is an island out in water, right? So we have it surrounded by water. It's kind of this contained unit here. And there's a couple of different blues, this lighter blue and a darker blue. That can indicate a couple of different things, so we'll talk about that. Certainly the lighter blue can indicate something more tropical, something clearer, like clearer water. The darker can indicate deeper depths, something darker, harder to see. It can also represent something like matured communication, because blue can represent communications. And you can see here now that the petals of the flower, Virgo, are becoming different colors. One of them is yellow, one of them is orange, now we have red. But these aren't coming about in the order of, let's say, the chakra formations, right? We now have this green, like an apple green. So, and the last petal of this 5-petal flower is clear. It's white or it's clear. There's no color to it. And the center of the flower too, which began as kind of like a spiral, that's also clear. So this indicates something. So we're going to talk about this. So Virgo, now you can see there's like these formations. These are like gusts. What came was like wind, that there was a kind of an arc or a wave of wind that was coming toward the island, okay? And you can see the arrows coming down on that wind gust, and now the arrow coming down and over from the orange petal of the flower. There's an arrow coming down and over toward that stem with the thorns, right? And again, this all has meaning, so we're gonna break it all down. Now there's something being highlighted here. There was a need, okay, so you're gonna notice that I'm circling the water between the wind gust and the island edge. And then there's kind of a measurement calculation, like the line with the little hash mark. So there's something about midway between wind and island, Virgo. What that is, I don't know yet. We're going to talk about it. And now there's this orange line that wanted to emerge at this center point. At the center point, there's orange. And now so the image that came as I was sitting there right after I drew this orange line was a mouth in the wind, in the gust. And you can see that the lips are open, like it's speaking, right? So it's a speaking mouth. Okay, lovelies, let's take a look. Now, we're looking here at the stilled image of the artwork. Now, we're going to talk about it, what came first, second, and third, because, etc., because that has meaning. It has meaning about what the layered process is here. Now, we started with the hub of the flower, the center point of the flower, right? The O of Virgo. First of all, VIR got underlined. So actually what I want to do first is I want to look at my Pythagorean numerology. Let's take a look here. V is number 4. I is number 9. And R is also number 9. So we have 4, 9, 9. What is that? 13, 22. So we have a 22 here, Virgo. 22 is a master number. This is a master number indicating teaching, stepping up and teaching. Now, does this mean that all of you are teachers? No, not necessarily. There's different ways by which we teach. But you have to understand there's a 22 narrative coming up here with that VIR underlined. So, I mean, it indicates that there might be a pressure to speak, especially because we end the drawing essentially with the lips, with the mouth, in the wind, which is indicating communications. It's indicating a flow of breath, a flow of communication, a flow of thought. This is consciousness. This is air here, right? So we'll talk more about that in a second. But we have VIR 499, number 22. There's a 22 master teacher narrative here. A bit of a pressure to step up, to be the role model, to speak your voice, to share your vision, to share your project, etc., to teach, etc. Now, then the O became the spiraled central location of a flower. This is a flower in bloom. It has 5 petals. First of all, a flower in bloom is indicating something is blossoming. In the month of October, there's something, Virgo, blossoming for you. There's something coming into colorful light for you. Something being expressed. So something is blossoming. Now, it's stemming from this spiraled center. So it indicates for me that there's a lot of movement that you've been undergoing, a lot of centralized movement, maybe internalized processes of change and shift and navigation and evolution in the spinning, Virgo. So there's this process of evolutionary up-leveling that you've been going through. In the month of October, there are colorful extensions being blossomed from that process, from this internalized process. Now, a couple of things. There are 5 petals here, right? Orange, yellow, red, green, and clear. The clear for me is indicating either spirituality or consciousness or stillness. So there's still an aspect of what is blossoming through you that is either unknown yet, or it's just the quiet, meditative stillness aspect and process that you're undergoing. Meaning, a part of your blossoming is more of an ability to go within, to be still, to go into your meditative practice. Does that make sense? That for me is the blossoming that's the clear petal. So there's a spiritual aspect to you, a spiritual pattern of your day, processes of your daily reality that you are inviting in, that you're becoming self-disciplined around. Maybe you're waking up early to meditate, or maybe you are going through cleansing processes for the body-mind to clear your vehicle, to be more of a open vehicle to receive information. That's what I get as that clear petal. The orange is educative. There's something here that's curious, that's fast moving, it's active, it's creative, and it's educative. There's something about learning things and bringing it forward, educating. And, orange is a very loud color, so it expresses itself. There is creativity imbued in the orange. So that's one component here. Yellow is another. Yellow, for me, is indicating confidence. There's more of a confidence that you are embodying in the month of October, and you're able to express. Okay, red is indicating, and red is interesting. We're going to talk about the red because it's linking down with thorns, it's linking down to the island. There's a lot here. There's the arrow from the wind gust pushing into that stem, which is at the base of that red petal. But the red petal is indicating first chakra stuff. This is your Mars energy. It's your vital life force energy. It's your driver and your motivation. Now, it can also indicate what drives you up and enrages you. It creates or activates whatever the narrative is underneath that, which is what we're going to talk about next. Something is lighting you up and firing you up for action, okay? Now, we also have green. Green is the heart chakra. There's something here too that's blossoming with you. Now, I will point out that the green petal is cut off by the top of the paper. It's not that it's not existing beyond the line of the paper, but it is interesting because what we have in full view here is the orange, the yellow, and the red petal. The green is expressed. It's blossoming through you in October. And it's cut off. What does that mean? I'm not sure. Something might be cutting you off. Maybe there's a self-sabotage that cuts you off. Something with regards to you expressing your heartfelt desires, needs, or orientations. You might have some experience in October that gets cut off. Somebody cuts you off. People, your clients cut you off, whatever it might be. Okay? Now, the white or the clear petal is also cut off at the top of the page, right? And could that also indicate that in maybe the beginning portion, maybe the beginning 2 weeks of October, you are blossoming your meditative practice. You are tapping into sitting in nature, sitting in stillness, listening, receiving, being in stillness, allowing that space. But maybe it gets cut off. Again, maybe mid to late month, you stop doing that process. Something to be mindful of. It doesn't mean that because this is written out here that you have to do this. If this is what's happening, you can be discerning and take action accordingly to perpetuate, for example, the meditative practice that really might be the optimal continued flow for you. This is just the narratives that may likely be unfolding for you this month. What is activated for you this month with regards to your growth and evolutionary process? If certain aspects of you is getting cut off, that's something for you to just be observant of, be reflective of, be mindful of it. What is it teaching you? What is it showing you? What is it growing in you, right? Now, with regards to the red petal, that ended up linking down like almost as if the petal is becoming the stem. So for me, that is definitively speaking to the root chakra, and it's definitively speaking about the root of story that's leading you down deep within your deep subconscious mind, right? Now, there are thorns there. There are 4 thorns. Thorns are representing defense mechanism. Defense. 4 is representing the masculine, stability, practicality, the analytic mind. This is all 4, right? Organization, analytics, linear realities, details, stability, organization. That's all 4, okay? It's also the masculine. It's the number of the masculine. So the thing here is there is some defensiveness at the root of the red, okay, that is to be seen for what it is, just observed and understood for what it is. It's going to be, the details of this, Virgo, is going to be very different for each one of you. You all have your distinct blueprint, right? And as I've said in some of the other scopes, at least, for those of you who have not yet had a full, in-depth, very deep psychological analysis of and past life analysis of your current blueprint, who you are, what the wound sets are, what the patterns are, and what the mastery trajectories are, it is simply a foundational tool. Everybody needs to know what their story is. Otherwise, people are being mindlessly driven forward by reactions and behaviors that are completely not owned. And that's just not conducive to your growth and evolution in a smooth way, in a free way, right? So what do we have here, Virgo? Well, in October, and by the way, astrologically, October is quite intense. We're going to talk about your astrology in a minute here. But indeed, the red of that petal is linking down with some defensive thorns on there, having to do with masculine, the patriarchy, too analytical, too left brain, too kind of physically, materially reduced and proof oriented. That's kind of the aspects of 4, the thorny 4. Defensiveness in this very kind of left mind oriented space. In other words, the mind, or Mercury, which is your ruler, can get too wound, and the thorniness is there. So there's something to just feel into, own it, feel into that, get to the root narrative of what those thorns are about. For a lot of you, the thorns and the stem are leading down to the island. The island is on its own. The island is out in the middle of the water. It's very self-sustaining, this. The island has trees and greenery. It also, by the way, ended up becoming a volcano. I don't know if you noticed that, but the top of that mountain, first it was kind of a rocky, mountainous island, but toward the end of the drawing, I ended up putting essentially like a hole at the top. So there was an indication as I was drawing it at the end that it was indeed a volcano. Okay, now this is important because, one, this is a sole and isolated island unto itself. This is an entity that feels individuated and separate, isolated. It is also a volcano, dear Virgo, a volcano that could erupt, right? It has the potential to erupt. It has the potential to bring forward lava flow, heat from within, anger, rage, past history, past narratives, all of that stuff. There is potential for the island to blow. And the issue here with the blooming that's coming, beautiful flower that's coming forward via Virgo this month of October, there is confidence emerging. There are creative projects and or educative projects that are emerging. There's heart oriented communications and relationships that are coming forward. There's new spiritual processes that are coming forward. Beautiful month. And maybe there's also going to be fiery components or qualities of your being that are also coming forward this month that are going to have you go deep down within. What is the root? Underneath, there's some defensiveness. Okay, what's that about? Going down deeper. Well, I feel isolated. I feel unprotected. I feel not connected. I feel not connected to family. I feel not connected to my spouse or husband. I feel not connected to my workmates. I feel not connected to my friend group. I don't feel connected to a tribe. And so there's a lot of emotional waters around this space, Virgo, right? The island is in an ocean of choppy water. This is not stilled water. This is moving water. So this is a lot of emotional impression energy, meaning at the base of you, there is imprinted memory in your emotional waters, in your emotional history. And indeed, there's clarity up at the top, and then it gets deeper blue at the bottom, right? So there's deep past experiences, traumas, memories, patterns that are imbued, that are coming up and out. You're maybe able to see in October, okay, how is the deep stuff? What is the deep stuff about? Again, that's where a natal analysis comes in because you understand exactly what it is. Oh, this is why I react in this way. And this is what the growth edge is with that reaction pattern. Oh, this is why people always treat me this way. And this is the growth arc with that. This is what the proper or least effort evolutionary arc with that pattern of relationship dynamics. This is my freedom path. Okay? So for you, there's depth this month, Virgo. Deep depth. Now, let's move on from there because what then came was this gust of wind. Now, It's moving, it's stormy, it's billowing. The whole right side of the page is this gust of wind. Now, wind or air is consciousness, right? And what this indicates is a couple of things. One, your mind or your thoughts, air or wind, might feel stormy. Okay, so the mind might feel active and it might feel stormy this month, all right? Now, in addition to that, you could also be getting downloads and clarity coming to you from communications. Specifically, there could be somebody speaking something to you that you really resonate with, that you really hear, that connects you to some sort of a truth. The big lips in the gust of wind here, it's speaking. That mouth is speaking. So I do believe that you're hearing something that is moving the defensive thorn stem there, connecting you to the isolated nature of this feeling completely, let's say, abandoned, neglected, rejected, isolated in this world, that is getting you to the truth of some narratives there. Okay? Something is speaking, something that's connecting you to something juicy and something that you need to see. Now, it's happening for you, I think, mid-October. I think a lot of you maybe mid-October. Is that what I'm getting here? Could be. It could be mid-October. So this is the deal. Between the edge of the wind gust and the island, that's where the circle in the water wanted to be pointed out. There's a point at which mid-month, and by the way, in fact, you know what? Shoot, you know what, Virgo? I don't have my full moon date. Shoot. The full moon date is going to be about the middle of October. The exact date, I apologize. I don't have my ephemeris with me now as I'm recording this, but mid-month. And I do believe this would be around the full moon, right? Because the full moon here, we have the water emphasized. There's a midpoint at which some new education, orange line. So you can see the lips in the wind. There's a highlight mid-month between the wind and the island. So there's something reaching you mid-month that's going to be an educative path of information. Something comes to you that's going to wake you up, that's going to push. See that arrow pushing from the wind over into the stem of the, with the thorns on it, underneath that red petal. There's something coming to you that's going to move or push clarity, information, aha moments into the root of some issues there. Very good. I mean, we could go further, but I think this is a great place to stop for the art analysis. Now, let's take a look at your divination card that came through, and then we'll talk about your astrology. So with regards to your growth edge this month, you're receiving excitement lines. You can see it's a beautiful day outside. I went outside and selected. There's the Halloween decor out. Fabulous. Now, for your growth and evolution this month, something to focus on to help you this month is excitement lines. You can see on this card, this is a palmistry deck, you can see the circle there on the at the bottom right side of the palm, okay? And you can see the articulation here. Don't get caught in routines. Now, this came up last month for a sign. I don't think it was yours, but this is a repeated card from the month of September. Your reflection for this month, Virgo, is this. If you find that your life is not very exciting, it might be time for you to change your routine. Get up earlier or later than you usually do. If you normally set an alarm clock, don't set it for a day and see how long you need to sleep. Eat something you've never tried before. Call a friend or a relative you haven't spoken with in a while. Try an outdoor activity or go dancing. Life is more interesting and opens your mind and spirit when you change things up. Okay? So this is about opening your world, opening your reality. And indeed, activating more synaptic connections, even in your brain, in your mind, when you have new experiences. You're curious, you're seeing new things, discovering new things, meeting new people, having new conversations, going on a new route, all of that. Beautiful. Okay, now Virgo, let's take a quick peek at your astrology for the month. Now, the chart that you're looking at now is the standard chart with Aries shown at the ascendant line, okay? And this chart is for our Libra new moon that we had at the very end of September, which is imbuing the energetics and the narratives of growth for October, right? So we're looking at this new moon showing us our October narrative, and we're showing it just with the standard wheel with Aries at the ascendant point. And I have my notes here to talk about the Virgo archetype and how this is impacting you this month, okay? Now, as we started this October cycle, Mars was at the end of Virgo, okay, in your sign. And that Mars was opposing Neptune in Pisces and squaring Jupiter in Sagittarius. Now, this was impacting your first house, seventh house, and fourth house. The house of self, the house of other, and the house of home. So there's something here specifically about you taking action in the month of October that may be dismissed by others, but it has to do with some expansion that you're wanting to undertake, some new beginnings, some travel perhaps that you're wanting to undertake with regards to your home life, with regards to your physical home location, even with regards, for some of you, with regards to family, including mother. So what I get here is that there's almost this, and you, by the way, you had been going through this in September with Mars going through your sign, but indeed, there's just a surge of energy with regards to, let's say, taking the reins of you, your life, you as an individual, you stepping up, your energy, you taking action in some way, shape, or form. That I'm just looking at this opposition to Neptune in the 7th, of course, and this is a long time transit that you have going on, but I'm just taking a specific look at it. You know, because Neptune in the 7th can look like a couple of different things, right? It can look like the spiritualizing of relationships, meaning that you're going through an extended process, a multi-year process of connecting with people that are simply more spiritual in their orientation in this life. They're more connected to issues of compassion, love, and their relationship to God, the universe, spirit, and indeed life, living systems, you know, the consciousness field, source. So it's definitely a spiritualization of relationships. The other thing is Neptune and Pisces in the 7th house, or that activation for the Virgo archetype, can look like the dissolution of relationships. You know, people kind of fade away. You kind of fade away. You're not really so needy of having any direct, long-term, or bound, or tied, or contracted relationships, you know. That being said, you are more, let's say, energized as we start the October cycle, and really even throughout the October cycle, I would say, to act on your own behalf. And it's connected to, because of its square to Jupiter in your 4th house, it's connected to something you learn, maybe even from home, right? So you could be doing like online study at home, learning, reading books from home, etc. But you learn something. You come to some awareness or insight even, in the safety of your own home, through meditation practice at your home base, etc. But it gives you more impetus and motivation to act on your own behalf, okay? Now, the big thing this month, of course, is that this new moon for you happened in your 2nd house. Your 2nd house of value, self-value, how you love and value the self, how you meet all of your essential needs, your earned income, etc. But for you, the sun, moon together at 5 degrees in Libra. By the way, the sun and moon together is always in alignment of inner and outer self, right? And this was a 5-degree new moon, which indicates change. There's change happening. As you are aligning your inner and outer self, there is indeed change happening. And you're contending with changing perhaps circumstances with regards to money, income, and self-value. So you're contending, or you're navigating a journey of loving yourself anew, in a new way, contending with circumstances that might come up against that and pressure that point. Meaning there's going to be some challenge with it. Now, in addition to that sun, moon at 5 degrees Libra in your second house of self-value, there's a quincunx to 5 degrees Uranus. And for you, this Uranus and Taurus is 9th house of belief system. That quincunx indicates, Virgo, that indeed you're going to, what's going to create some suffering, unless you're highly mindful and very self-discerning, is that for you, you're needing to, there's a couple of different ways to say this. I need to adjust myself here. There's a couple ways to say this, Virgo, with regards to Uranus and the 9th, because that's a big topic unto itself. But with regards to the exact quincunx to this birth of a new self-value, Virgo, loving itself anew, because that's what we're talking about here. The quincunx to Uranus indicates that there's dissonance with some belief systems, and there's also dissonance with regards to how you're navigating this birth of loving yourself and stepping into a new valued entity, with regards to maybe a lot of chaos, okay, with regards to what's in the news, what's in the media, what philosophies or dogmas or religious systems or just people preaching their truths out there are. Indeed, these days there's a lot of people talking and there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of back and forth, and it's all people just speaking their mind, doing their thing. As you begin to learn to love and value yourself at a greater level, you're contending with that. And for some of you this month, you're going to have maybe a bit of stress and pressure to simplify, to cut out, to maybe get off technology, to stop listening to the news cycles, which is addictive. Technology is addictive. By the way, that's another thing here. Inherently, Uranus rules technology. And because it's in your 9th house, this is technology through mass media. For you, the quincunx to your new birth, and by the way, a Libra new birth, new value of self in changing conditions with regards to being at a new place of self-honoring when it comes to your relationships with people. That's Libra. So for you, what you value is relationships, yet you are changing, and at the same time you're contending with a lot of kind of technological interruption, technological mass media interruption in October. It's very critical for you to disengage and disconnect, okay? Very important. Now, in addition, as we're starting the October cycle, Mercury and Venus were in Libra. Now, as I'm recording this for you now, Mercury and well, let's say, let me check. Venus is moving in this week, but Mercury has moved in to Scorpio. Now for you, what that indicates is, as we start this October cycle, your mind and your value system is really focused on your money, your income, but also your ethos, your value system, and your sense of self-value. So you're really focused on that. Now, as the month progresses, it's going to move more into 3rd house territory, which is all about communications, Scorpio communications, Plutonic communications, right? This is about connecting to deep, watery truths. So with Mercury going in there and then followed by Venus, that's where your value system is really going to focus its energy, okay? Now, this new moon in Libra, and for the month of October, the activated energy and narrative for you is a square between the second house and the fifth house, where that stellium of Capricorn energies is happening, right? This is Capricorn, Pluto, Saturn, and South Node. So that square between the second house of self-value and the fifth house of freedom, individuation, creative expression, there's a contention between those areas of your life. So for example, for a lot of you, I do believe, because 5 is also the number of, it's certainly the number of change, movement, and action, but it's also the number of chaos and creative potential. And so for you, as you're birthing a new self, Virgo, there is this square to your creative house, how you are creatively expressing, you know, and there is that square to Saturn in there, right? Saturn is maybe creating a bind where you feel like you want to express or you want to do something different, something entrepreneurial. For some of you, there's a lot of career stuff that you're reallocating here. By the way, for those that are interested in your career analysis to understand what is your naturally aligned career, according to your astrological blueprint, you know, you can see the links below for all of my services. But a lot of you are, you know, reanalyzing and really contemplating career and career expression and creative entrepreneurial expression, right? So that's definitely activated as well. I think that's all I wanted to talk about here, actually. I think I'm going to leave it there. We're going to talk more next month, Virgo, for your November cycle, but a lot of dynamics for the month of October. I'll have some more videos emerging, so you can stay tuned for more defined astrological processes that we're going to talk about for October and also for this fall as we complete out this 2019 cycle in preparation for the 2020 dynamical shifts that are going to be going on, okay? So for those interested, subscribe, of course, like the video, but you can see the links below to deeper dives for individual understandings of your particular blueprint, your story, and what's going on for you. You can be in touch. I send you much love. Bye-bye.